We're all familiar with the power of water. Water created the Grand Canyon. Water comprises most of our planet, most of our bodies. We can't live without water. In our industry, we've harnessed the power of water and we've pressurized it to 90,000 psi, creating one of the most powerful manufacturing tools the world has ever known. And you can do anything with this water jet system. You can cut virtually any material. You can cut hazardous materials. You can cut oil pipelines without any flame. You can cut everything from baby carrots to 14-inch titanium with ultra-high pressure water jet. So what is a water jet? Well, we use the term water jet loosely. A pure water jet is just water that's been pressurized up to 90,000 psi with a special hydraulic pump. That pure water jet can be used to cut everything from food to carpet to rubber gym mats. Anything that's soft can be cut with just water. Now, if you add an abrasive to that water, the same material that's on sandpaper, an abrasive called GARNET, you can machine virtually any material you can think of. There's two types of water jet systems. There's a mobile water jet system, which I mentioned earlier, which is used commonly out in the oil fields. It doesn't use any flame or create any heat, so they're using it often to cut pipelines that are failing or storage tanks that are failing. They can go in there and cut with the water jet and repair those failing floors. The most common type of water jet system is a precision system that uses computer control to machine all different types of shapes and parts with a precision water jet or abrasive water jet. So this is your typical CNC water jet system. What you have here is you have the intensifier pump, which is using hydraulics. It's using a piston plunger assembly that's going back and forth, pressurizing that water, sending it through an attenuator to smooth out the pressure fluctuations through a very high pressure tubing line, and then that's going into the motion system up through that line and into a cutting head, and then it's going through a tiny little diamond orifice that's about the size of a human hair. And that's creating a water jet that's traveling faster than a bullet. This is the pump that creates the ultra-high pressure water jet. As you can see, it's creating it using a piston plunger assembly. This is the cutting head. So here you can see the little tiny orifice. In a pure water jet system, like you see on the left, it's just going through that orifice. On the right, you have an abrasive water jet system. That's drawing in abrasive using a Venturi effect. Creates basically a water jet that's coming with the abrasive that can cut through virtually any material. So here's an example of pure water jet. It's used commonly in the food processing industry because it never needs to be sharpened. You don't have to clean it. It's a very sanitary method for processing food. And this is an abrasive water jet. You're using a material called garnet, and you can machine just about any material you can think of, such as stone, steel, tile, ceramic, ballistic material, armor plating for our military. So what are the benefits of water jet? Well, water jet has tons and tons of benefits. First, it cuts without heat or flames, so you can use it out in the oil fields. You can use it in those hazardous environments without any danger to your staff. You can cut virtually any material. You can cut stacked material. You can save money and save material by cutting your parts very tightly nested together, so you have very little waste when you cut those parts. It's environmentally friendly. You're just using water and sand basically to do your cutting. Water jet, the biggest benefit by far for water jet is that you can cut virtually any material. There's very few things that you can't cut with water jet. One of them is diamond. Unless you use a diamond abrasive, you cannot cut diamond with water jet. But you can cut all kinds of metals, including super alloys like Inconel, which can't be cut with any other process. You can cut plastics and rubber, glass and stone, food, and much, much more. So what are the applications for water jet? Well, there's tons of applications for water jet because it's so versatile. You can cut precise parts from virtually any material. You can do precision etching with water jet, and you can scarify surfaces to rough them up which is commonly used in architectural applications. Industries that are using Waterjet, well, because it's so versatile, it can be used by just about any industry. The most common, of course, are machine shops and metal fabrication shops, but it's used in aerospace and automotive manufacturing. Many of the parts in your car were cut with Waterjet, including the headliners, the trunk liners, most of the carpeting was all cut with Waterjet. It's used commonly in the stone and tile industry. You see those beautiful inlay stones and you wonder how were those cut? It was probably cut with a Waterjet or someone with a lot of time on their hands to cut them by hand. Medical manufacturing, if any one of you in the audience here has any titanium in you, a knee or a hip, that was cut with a Waterjet. So, how does Waterjet affect you? It affects you in many ways and you probably don't even realize it. If before you came over here you stopped at a fast food restaurant and you had yourself a cherry pie, those cherries were cut with a Waterjet. You probably drove here in a car. Your steering wheel that you were holding onto as you got here, the trim die that made that steering wheel was cut with Waterjet by one of our customers because they cut most of the steering wheel trim dies in the United States. And if you went to the gym today, well, I didn't, but maybe you did, the rubber gym mats at the gym were probably cut with Waterjet. If you have cattle, a lot of people here in St. Michael have cattle, the rubber mats that keep your cows happy and happy cows make more milk, those were cut with Waterjet. Waterjet and you again, if you went shopping today and you rubbed your feet on the carpet as you walked into the store, those carpets were cut with Waterjet. If you have a terrazzo floor at your school and you see those beautiful medallions and designs with the metal trim inside of them, or at the airport, they used to do that by hand and it would take weeks, if not months, to hand cut that, bend it, and solder it. Now they throw that metal material and the terrazzo floor, they throw a sheet of that up on the Waterjet and they can cut it in minutes. So next time you go to the airport, look at the terrazzo floor, look at the graphics and the metal, and then you can appreciate how that was made now. So you probably don't have a wild, crazy bed like this, but one of our customers does a lot of artistic work and they cut this bed with a Waterjet. You can do all kinds of intricate shapes and designs with Waterjet. A huge machine that's 24 feet long, 14 feet wide, can cut parts that are as tiny as the white on your fingernail without falling in the tank. Basically, to keep them from falling into the Waterjet tank, you just use a little toothpick or something to hold it in place so it doesn't fall in. Waterjet has come to the rescue in many horrible situations that our world has experienced. In 1991, when Saddam Hussein's troops were retreating, they set the Kuwait oil fields on fire. They went in with dynamite and they detonated all these oil wells. They were just a mangled mess, oil shooting everywhere. They thought it would take 10 years to put out the fires. Bechtel Corporation gave us a call and they said, can you help us out? We need to cut off these wellheads so that we can cap them and get this oil to stop gushing so we can put the fires out. Well, JetEdge made some systems and we sent them over there and they were able to cut off 90% of the wellheads in Kuwait using ultra high pressure Waterjet. Before they were using wires that were attached to bulldozers and it was taking days. We were able to get that process down to hours instead of days. And they were able to put those fires out, instead of in 10 years, they were able to put them out by the end of that year in 1991. Also in 2010, during the horrible Gulf oil spill, BP gave us a call. They said, can you make a Waterjet that operates 5,000 feet underwater? Like, well, it's never been done before, but hey, why not? Let's give it a try. We like to take on those tough, challenging projects. So we were able to rapidly develop a Waterjet system, got it down to the Gulf, dropped it into the Gulf, and they were successful at that operation. They were able to get that Waterjet down there. They used the underwater rovers to blast off hydrates that were clogging a containment system so they could get that cap down there and stop that oil spill. Another example of Waterjet helping with horrible environmental problems, the Hanford site is one of the most notoriously polluted sites in the world. It's where the plutonium was made for the Manhattan Project and also for the Cold War. It's in Washington State. Radiation from that plutonium is leaking into the Columbia River and getting into the Pacific Ocean. It's a huge problem, huge cleanup effort. It's one of the largest cleanup efforts in the world. One of our customers is going out there and they're using ultra-high pressure water jet, working remotely, of course, because it is a radioactive setting from 300 feet away, and they're cutting these holes into these containment systems that are failing so that they can get down there with a robot, grab that polluted material. It could be an old piece of jeans that had been exposed to radiation or tools that they used. They're getting it out and they're vitrifying that material and they're putting it in safer storage so that they can stop all of that pollution into the Columbia River. So, how thick will a water jet cut? Well, a water jet will cut whatever you can fit under the cutting head. So here you see an example of some 14-inch tool steel that was cut with water jet, and also about 7-inch thick titanium. You see the sparks that are flying off that titanium. That's so hard that the abrasive material is actually sparking as it's hitting the material. We tell people economically 5 or 6 inches is a ballpark figure for cutting with water jet, but if you need to cut something thicker and it can only be cut with water jet, you can do it. It just takes time. So how fast will water jet cut? It really depends on what you're cutting. If you're cutting carpet, it's going to zip right through it. If you're cutting thick titanium, it's going to take hours. It's not the fastest cutting process, but you're not having to do any of that secondary finishing like you'd have to do with a plasma cutter or some other sort of technology, and you have the benefit of being able to machine just about anything. So what utilities are required? Well, you need electricity, you need air from an air compressor, and of course you need water. So what do I do with all that used garnet? Well, garnet is just sand. It can be landfilled as long as you're not cutting any toxic material. Many manufacturers of garnet now are collecting that garnet and they will recycle it. And they'll use it for other things like sandblasting, or they'll take out the good garnet that's still usable and then they'll sell it back to water jet shops to use again. So how can I be certain that water jet is the right process for me, for my application? Well, we tell everyone, before you invest in a water jet cutting machine, ask your manufacturer to perform a test cut for you. That test cut will allow you to know if water jet is economical, if it will cut your material, and if it's the best process for your application. We're not going to try to sell you a water jet system if we don't think it's the right machine for your process. That test will give you some information on how much abrasive do I need to use. Do I need to use abrasive? What kind of pump do I need? How many cutting heads do I need to make the throughput requirements that I have? Never buy a water jet system without first asking your manufacturer for a test cut. It's a very important process. We do test cuts all the time. We've seen everything. We've cut everything from quail eggs and fish to gas station sandwiches to material for the military for armor plating. So that's what we have for water jet technology. It's one of the most versatile technologies that you can think of. It's a green process. It's a wonderful technology that has affected every one of us here today, and it has helped save our planet through the protection of the Gulf of Mexico, the Kuwait oil fields, and also now the Columbia River at the Hanford site. Thank you very much.